Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's Creating You Together. Last time we were talking about hesitation and resistance, and in particular how our hesitation is our intuition talking to us. So this week we're going to be talking about focusing on the message and not the messenger. So thank you for joining us, and how about we do what we normally do with our beginnings, and that's literally just to close our eyes, take a few deep breaths, and simply just taking the time to take some time. And as we breathe, we can see ourselves connecting to ourselves, our hearts, our intuition, guidance, and spirit. And as we feel ourselves coming into balance and harmony, we see ourselves like the space that's the eye of a tornado, where it doesn't matter what is going on around, that within that there is always a space where there is balance and harmony. And if you would like to share that out to others who may want and be open to it at this time, feel free to send it all around the world. So if everyone is okay. And it's perfect timing because we are going into the crazy, frantic Christmas season, and it also happens to be a perfect example of how a message that is there from a child being born, a beautiful message of peace and love and kindness that has been a cornerstone of our world for a really long time, how that message now has changed into being delivered by a big guy in a red suit, all about whatever our list is from the shops that we all want. So we're also going to have some fun with a little game that we're going to play. And joining us, we have Sonia from Hong Kong, we have me from Australia, and we have Orla from New Zealand, who's also going to keep an eye on your comments. So feel free to keep her busy. And focusing on the message and not the messenger is really, really important, especially if you want to follow your intuition and your guidance along your journey and to really move forward. And it's where all our stuff can get in the way of hearing the message. So, Sonia, over to you.
So, like Anita said, I prepare a little quiz to for you. So we won't tell you the answers until the end. So now the first quote. The first quote is, you have to go and follow what you love. You have to do it. And you just have to follow your heart and you'll be successful. Okay, guess who said that? So I'll give you a hint a little bit later. The second quote is, I mean, if a female Dalai Lama come, then she must be very attractive, otherwise she's not much use. Guess who have said that? So there are two people. A is Donald Trump, B is Dalai Lama. Tell us what you think, and then we'll tell you the answers. So I hope that you enjoy the game.
Yeah, because particularly Donald Trump, he's a great person to talk about on this topic because people either love him or they hate him. So how they hear him is filtered by how they feel about him. So we thought that even though he's quite controversial, he'd be a good person to discuss around how sometimes a message that he may be giving that is of benefit is being lost because we don't like his personality. So I'm not a big fan of his personality. You know, if he asked me to go out for a drink, I definitely would say no. However, I do have to say that one of the greatest messages he's ever given, not just me, but all of us, is that when you believe in yourself completely and when you know that you can achieve anything, that is possible. Because he always believed he could be the president of the United States. We all laughed and said, there's no way that guy from The Apprentice, from reality TV, will ever achieve that, but he did. So, yeah, I think he's a really good example. And if you guys have any examples from your own lives of times that you missed a message because you didn't like the messenger, or you missed a message because you liked the messenger but you didn't like the message, then share in the comments and we'll have a bit of fun talking about them tonight.
Yes. Also, what he also shared with us, what we also learned is that like how our emotional body and our mental body can blind us from the real messages, because like you said, because we simply do not like the messengers. So even that person, whether it's a he or she, say great word of wisdoms, because our own personal judgment, we discard them. However, if we like the messengers, if it's the one that we absolutely adore, admire, maybe that person said is whatever that's absolutely not true. We want to make us to believe that's actually the message. I feel that is also something that I've learned about the emotional and the mental body, how it has stopped me looking at the significance.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a perfect example of what both of you were just talking about. Being in Australia and having been caught up in our wildfires last year, what has come up for all of us is the absolute necessity to manage the land, to make sure it's clean, to ensure that we are cutting into areas where fire breaks are needed. The experience of last year, fireys couldn't get into areas they needed to get into, people couldn't get out of areas they needed to, and for a very, very long time in Australia there has been an absolute, almost a prayer to be allowed to clean up all the dead foliage, trees, areas, because they sit there just waiting for a boiling hot day with some wind to explode and set half the coast of Australia on fire. So a couple of weeks ago or months ago, when California experienced fires, President Trump said exactly the same thing about the need for land management and a need to be able to cut into areas. And if you liked him and you agreed with him, if you were listening to the message, you made a decision based on how you heard it, whether it resonated with you or not. If you didn't like him, what ended up happening was a whole bunch of people's hair caught on fire and it was just shut down. So it's the way I see it, it's never about who's saying it, and it's never an either or, because things happen in a context. It's not just about land management. It can be about other things as well. So when we're totally emotional and we've got a total passion about something, or we truly believe something, can really, really get in the way.
Yeah, because spirit, our intuition is always giving us messages. So our guides, and we all have guides, whether we consider ourselves spiritual or not, or whether we believe it or not, we all have guides, and they're always going to look for the most economical way to get the message to us. So therefore it can come anyway, in anyhow, in any manner. So yeah, the whole thing about how often we listen to the message and how often we don't, purely because, as you were saying, Sonia, about our judgments or our feelings, yeah, it's really worth being aware of. Amanda is saying something here about what you were saying, Anita. What Anita is saying is very true. Groups opposed backburning because of the danger to animals. What ended up happening was millions and millions of animals perished in the bushfires. Yeah. Yeah.
So there were messages. There were messages to the government. There were messages from property owners. There were messages from locals saying, hey, you know, we know this land, we know this. So therein as well is a message. Why it wasn't heard or how, I think we can lessen shooting ourselves in the foot, so to speak, if we hear the messages earlier than deny, judge, be angry with, dislike what we're hearing because of how it's coming to us. We can avoid a lot of circumstances and, hey, maybe collaborate and achieve some good stuff.
Yeah, I feel the emotional body sometimes, like we talk about it, like spirit always talk to us, and always intuitions always guide us, give us the answers or promptings. But if we're sitting in our emotional body, and I feel it happens to all of us, sometimes like we sincerely want to ask, we sincerely tune in, and the message has been given to us, but if we're still sitting in our emotional body and there's a message that I want to say to somebody, or there's things I want to do, we didn't allow the message to come through. We become so focused on being the messengers of the message of what I want to do or what I want to say. So that also, this whole year has been also for me to see how, not only how I do it or how other people has reflected to me. I don't know what about other people think about that. And I'm really curious and want to hear the examples.
Let's just have a little reminder of our quotes here. The first quote is, you have to go and follow what you love. You have to do it. And you just have to follow your heart and you'll be successful. That's our quote number 1. And our quote number 2, I mean, if a female Dalai Lama comes, then she must be very attractive. Otherwise, she's not much use. So remember our quiz show tonight, which one is Trump and which one is the Dalai Lama? We only have one answer so far. If one person says number 1 is Trump and number 2 is the Dalai Lama. So guys, what do you guys think? Which is which?
And don't Google it before you answer. Don't
Google. Google the answer.
Very clever, however.
Tune in and ask.
Earlier on today, I had an example pop into my head of when I was younger, and I'm sure it's happened since, of when I got caught up in the not wanting to hear the message because it came from a friend. So, you know, when you're kind of like your teens in your early 20s and your friendship is really important, and maybe one of your friends is really pushing your boundaries and kind of, you know, poking that stick, but you want to be nice. So, and you want to believe you still like that person. So you completely don't hear the message coming through them, which is sort out your boundaries. And I have so many examples from when I was younger of that, where I just had the habit of just liking the messenger and therefore not hearing what my intuition was really loudly saying to me, which is, how much longer do you want to put up with this? Check your boundaries, you know? So yeah. Oh, hang on, we got more. Got some good answers. So let me see. We have Karen says both are Trump. Interesting. We have Elaine said it's a trick question. Is it? And then we have Mary Ann saying, quote 1, the Dalai Lama, and 2, Trump. Whereas Amanda previously said 1 is Trump and 2 the Dalai Lama. Thank you. Let's
continue.
Let's continue.
So my question. Sorry, go ahead, Anita.
I was just going to say that this year that we've all been through as well is pretty monumental. And going into a new year, looking at it and focusing on the message that this year has been about is a way that we can take from our experiences and move into something new if we're open to what has occurred for each of us and for the world that we want. If we have some beliefs or resistance or judgments about what's happened of ourselves and everything that this year has thrown up, that can really get in the way of what, for example, the message of this year has been. So just wondering if we can look at things, you know, not just by people, but by events and circumstances. How does everybody else feel about that scenario?
That's a great one, because also it's not only about friends. If there's certain events and I don't like it, or I don't feel comfortable to look at it, or or push my buttons, and so they may happen, but I just decide not to look at it, and actually I will miss a great message or miss a great learning. So it brings back to all the emotional and the mental body again that triggers up.
Yeah, I feel like it's difficult for a lot of people to like COVID-19. Like, it's almost natural reaction is to hate it, because it's shut my life down. I can't go out. People are ill. I've lost family. Like, it can be tricky to be able to look at that messenger and accept that, oh, there's actually a message here of hope and of change and of moving forward. So that's a really good one, actually. Yeah, that's a really, are you going to focus on the messenger and how you feel about COVID-19, or are we looking at what we're actually learning from it and what's possible for us? Yeah.
So how we can move past these emotional and the mental barriers? How can we focus on the message? So we got some great tips for you. So it's true. It's very true.
So get it right.
First, don't get it right. That's true. The second, and some of you may know that we have the membership site, and on this membership site, there's a lot of fantastic exercise that can actually help you to, if you are actually, first, let's put it this way, if you're beginners, there are great exercise to help you to learn how to meditate, because we all know that meditation is one of the most effective, most direct way to get the messages, and also to move beyond your emotional body. Won't you agree?
I could, from experience, absolutely, definitely, yeah.
Yes. So if you're new to this and the first time you watch our video and you would like to know what we're actually talking about, well, first you can go back to all the videos before, and also if you can also join our sign up our free trial page, and then go to the different levels and try out and tune in and ask which exercise that you would like to begin with and help you to move beyond your emotional and your mental body and hear the real message.
Yeah, I mean, there's so if you go and sign up for the 7-day free trial, if you want to explore this a bit more, and as Sonia said, if you're a beginner, so say you've never meditated and haven't done a lot of it, then on the Explorer level, which is our free level, there's a really great, very simple course that basically teaches you how to meditate, and that in itself is amazing. And that's just there for you through the 7-day free trial, or obviously if you're a member already, then you would go to members.exploringintuitivepathways.com. And then also we have another course on the intuitive level. This course is called the 11 Steps, and I absolutely love this course. It is, if you've been kind of meditating for a little while and maybe you kind of think, oh, there's only one way to meditate, or you just can't quite connect, or don't really know where to go next, it takes you through so many different forms of meditation, like healing and energy balancing and crystals and connecting to your intuition and vision questing. It's absolutely fantastic, and you can take your time working through that. You can do it in your own time, but it's really helpful in helping us to kind of discover how we connect and what works for us, and how we can kind of receive those messages in a much in a simpler way for us. So if that's on the intuitive level, and it's called the 11 steps.
Yes.
And there's also hesitation and resistance on there as well. You can work through that. It is absolutely amazing. We all love it. And just keep in mind, you don't have to try to get anything right. This is really, our intuition works in a unique way for everybody. There's no right or wrong answer. Everybody's journey is unique. So explore, allow it to unfold, and get to know how your messages come through for you. So I think you'll have lots of fun exploring and discovering that, and the material is on there that you can have a good time with it.
Yes.
We have a comment here from, I'll just quickly show you, from Marianne, who is our, she's currently our top fan. She says, I highly recommend it and the exercises. Thank you, Marianne.
Lifetime member for Marianne.
Yes. Also, I feel when you're not trying to get it right, then the message is easier because you don't think this is the message or the right message, and you kind of let go of your expectation on your judgment of how the message should be. So it can
It'll save a lot of energy.
Sorry?
It will save a lot of energy judging and being angry at whoever it is that you don't like that's giving you the message. Just like use that energy for something else.
Exactly.
Sonia, do you want to give the briefing to our quiz?
Sorry?
Do you want to give the answer to our quiz?
Yes. So the first quote, you have to go and follow what you love. You have to do it, and you just have to follow your heart, and you'll be successful. The answer is Trump. The second quote. So the second quote, I mean, if a female Dalai Lama come, then she must be very attractive. Otherwise, she's not much use. That's from Dalai Lama himself in his interview. So if you get both answers correct, congratulations. Your prize is you can continue to enjoy the Creating New Togethers moving forward.
And if you tune in to get the answers, then you have received the message. Well done.
Yes.
And if you hedged your bets, I got nothing. Well done. You're neither right or wrong.
You can still continue to enjoy the Creating New Togethers and all the videos that's available to you. That's the Christmas gift.
That is the Christmas gift and the all year round gift.
Yes.
Glynis said, for me, this year has been about distinguishing between messages from my mind and those from my intuition. I think that's been a challenge for a lot of us, to know one from the other, That's why I love 11 Steps as well, because it really helps you to feel the difference and to start to distinguish between when you're telling yourself what you want to hear, which we all love to do, and when, receiving, we do like that, receiving the messages.
Well, and also the exercise is very, a lot of people would imagine that when you want to get the message right, you need to meditate for like 24 hours or an hour or whatever. So all the exercise available is actually very practical, and is very, you don't need to spend an hour or 2 hours each day, like simple 20 minutes, 15 minutes. You already enjoy a lot of benefits. So I highly recommend that if you would like to hear your message or simply just sit and relax and tune in, they're great resources for you.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, practice listening and hearing to things that we otherwise don't want to listen to, roll our eyes to, don't want to hear. We can have a go at that and see what unfolds from focusing on the message and not the messenger. So on that note, if we are all good, we will see you again in a couple of weeks. Happy exploring and focusing on the message. Thank you for joining.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.